You all know where you were when you first saw this.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
But do you still remember where you were when you saw this?
Oh, shit!
Do you remember all the things that have happened in the decade between? Has it been worth all of this? To get to this. When President Obama made his announcement, the excitement throughout the country was surreal. Not only from the footage I saw from Washington, D.C. and downtown New York, but out my own window in the Bronx as well. Hundreds of students spontaneously marched throughout my campus, setting off fireworks and passionately chanting, "USA! USA! USA!" I had never seen anything quite like it before. However, once the initial wave had washed over us all, looking outside, I felt like nothing had really changed. A few days later, Obama came to Ground Zero for the first time to attend a wreath-laying ceremony and to meet with members of the FDNY, NYPD, and families who had lost their loved ones on 9/11. I went down to the event that morning to ask my fellow New Yorkers questions on how they feel in the aftermath of bin Laden's death and what they think it means to New Yorkers as a whole. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. I'm a student at Fordham University. I'm doing a video project on what New Yorkers think about the death of Osama bin Laden, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to answer a few questions. Sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This will only take just a few moments of your time.
I was 2 blocks away at my office, and it was sheer terror.
And we saw all these people, they're begging because the smoke started and the plane was on top, coming down on the building side, everything.
I was actually down here on 9/11. I was a part of that whole debris, and because I used to work at 4 World Trade Center. I was actually outside getting breakfast at the time, and I actually watched the second plane hit the second tower.
I didn't know what was going on. Like, all of my teachers were like putting down the blinds, and the curtains and everything. And then my teacher actually got a phone call and she started crying because one of her family members had passed away. So my parents came and picked me up, and once I got outside of the school, I realized there was ashes and there was pieces of paper on the floor. And I started crying because I didn't know what was going on. It was pretty scary because I was still like, I don't know, I think I was 7 or 8 years old.
I was 13 on 9/11. I was in 8th grade. I was in class actually, and I remember teachers talking about it. And my first reaction, I was very young, so I didn't really know how to comprehend it. But later on, when the parents started picking up children outside the school, I understood that something catastrophic was going on.
I was at home watching the television when it happened, and at the time I worked for a pipeline company, natural gas, so that definitely affected how we handled our procedures and alerts on how we handled stuff, and just felt terrible.
When the news reached India, what would you say the general public reaction was?
Oh, that was horrible. Even because that was one of the tallest, not only tallest building, that was one of the, you can say, the center of America. You can't expect something to go like this. I'm not personally a Muslim, but I don't really understand why this thing happened. Anyway, but every religion teaches us to forgive. But probably some people didn't learn that thing from the religion.
I was in high school in Erie, Pennsylvania, so I don't know, it was a big event, but it was pretty far away. But there was that crash near us.
That morning, all newspapers talk about this event, and I want to buy a piece of the newspaper, but all sold out, so I have to share with my friends. We are all talking about this event.
And where were you when 9/11 took place? Were you in New York?
No, in Shanghai, China.
Well, I traveled back and forth from Jersey to New York, so it affected my life because, everything was in such an uproar.
I was in school. I was in the 8th grade in social studies class. I remember that crazy. And effect though, it didn't really affect my life, I guess it really affected the people that got killed.
Well, I am from Staten Island, so I was in the 5th grade when it happened. So everyone was getting called out of school, and like nobody knew what was going on, but everyone knew something was like bad. And then like my parents came to pick me up, and then like the TV didn't work, and everything was sort of just upside down. And like we didn't have school for the next 2 weeks, but when you're 11, obviously you can't really process what happened. So I mean, it didn't really like I didn't know anyone in the towers, but still, it's like when you grow up in New York, it's something it just becomes part of your life.
I was in the Bronx doing get out the vote work for Freddie Ferrer. It was election day. The mayoral campaign came to an end for a week. Now I work for the city in the law department in the World Trade Center unit.